Welcome back to BST, everybody. Thank you so much for joining me on this wonderful sports day in America. It's opening day, MLB opening day. It's one of the great sports events in our country. Um, if any of you watching this are going to an opening day game, I am very jealous. Nothing like the excitement in the air for each and every team, unless you're an A's fan, probably, or a White Sox fan for that matter. Both of you suck. Um, Although the A's could be a surprise team this year. I don't think so, but maybe. You never know. Anyway, opening day. It's a great day. And I wanted to do some predictions that will surely be wrong by the end of the year. But hey, let's just see what I think and what maybe might happen. So let's get right into it with the division winners. We'll start in the AL. In the AL West, to be more specific, this one's a tough one because obviously I'm an Astros fan. I know, boo. Probably gonna get a ton of TikTok comments about that. But I'm not gonna be biased. I'm not gonna say the Astros are gonna win the AL West or make the playoffs for that matter. Because I'll just go on a little bit of a tangent about the Astros. I think it was an end of an era this offseason. Obviously, they ship off Bregman, they ship off Tucker. Those are two big losses, especially just this season. I think some of the guys they got in return and some of the guys they're filling their lineup with will be good for them, but I don't know about this season. The rotation, I'm not a huge fan of Framber Valdez. He's been really good in the past, but I feel like sometimes I watch him and he's just getting lit up. So, if that's your number one guy, I'm not a huge fan of it. They got Hunter Brown up there. He's kind of like a Verlander 2.0 kind of pitcher, but I don't know. I'm not thrilled. Hader was pretty disappointing. I know the stats probably look fine, but I feel like there was a few times, especially in the playoffs, that he did not come through for the Astros. So that's where I'm at with them. So I think winning the AL West will be the Seattle Mariners. They got one of, if not the best, rotation in baseball. Their pitching staff is elite. The big question for the Mariners is if they can score runs, and they weren't able to last year. I believe they were like 21st or something in runs scored, which was brutal because their pitching staff was so elite that they couldn't get any run support. But they still won like 89 games, I believe, which is pretty good, and especially to be that bad offensively and still win that many games shows you how elite their pitching staff was. So I think the Mariners will win it this year. I think the offense will bounce back. I think they switched their managers last year or something like that, maybe hitting coach. They made a change midway through, not midway, but with like 30 games left or something, and in those final like 30 something games, they were like third in runs scored. So I think they can get this thing turned around. Obviously, J-Rod, Julio Rodriguez, great defensive player, had a down year offensively, but we've seen him do it in the past. I think he's going to bounce back this year, be in the MVP conversations by the end of the year for the AL. I think the Mariners may not have a top 10 offense, but at least get it to that top 12, the 11, 12, 13 range. And with that pitching staff, I think the Mariners can win the AL West, especially with questions around the Rangers and the Astros. I think they're going to win it. Moving on to the AL Central, I think the Kansas City Royals will win the AL Central. They were good last year. At one point, they were first in. Well, I think they won the division, but at one point, or the Guardians might have won. I can't remember exactly. But I know they were one of the top teams in the AL for a while. But then I believe in like September they went on a really cold streak, um, lost a couple games in a row, and that really kind of set them back a bit. But they made it to the playoffs and they beat the Orioles in the wild card. Moved on to face the Yankees. They battled the Yankees. Yankees ended up winning. Um, but I really like the Royals. I like Bobby Witt. We'll get to him later for a possible award prediction. Um, but yeah, I like the Royals. They got that star in Bobby Witt. They really they didn't get worse in the offseason. I think if anything they just stayed neutral. So I think the Royals win the AL Central. I'm not huge on the Guardians or the Tigers winning it. But again, the AL is stacked. It's really hard to predict. There's a few teams that could have made the playoffs in my predictions, but it's just so tough to pick them. So Kansas City Royals win the AL Central. AL East, I think the Boston Red Sox will win. First off, you added Alex Bregman to the lineup. I think he's going to do damage hitting towards the Green Monster in left field. And then you add Garrett Crochet to your pitching staff. I think he could possibly win the Cy Young, and that may be one of my predictions coming up in this video. He's a great pitcher. And I think they got the pieces, and especially with the Yankees, the Yankees going into this year looked pretty promising, but now they don't have Garrett Cole to Tommy John. That scares me quite a bit. And then you lose your best bat in the offseason, Juan Soto. I mean, you could argue Aaron Judge, but Aaron Judge didn't really show up in the playoffs as he tends to do. So I think the Red Sox will win this. I think they got the pieces they need to win the AL East. For the wild cards, this is in no particular order. I kind of just threw together three teams that I think could make the wild card. Again, the AL is so hard to pick. So I'll just talk through the three teams. The first wild card team I picked was the Texas Rangers. They had an off year last year after winning the World Series, just destroyed with injuries. And now, if you can get DeGrom back to his form, I mean that's one of the best pitchers in the league. But that's a big if. But I think that could happen this season. But you have the talent you need. You have Garcia. You still have Corey Seager. Guys like that. Those are great players. I think the Rangers will bounce back. I don't think they'll be quite as good as the Mariners, but I think they will make the wild card. Then you got the Detroit Tigers. They got hot last season, end of the year, in the playoffs, beat the Astros, took the Guardians to a Game 5 there in the second round. So I think the Tigers will continue that, make the playoffs again. They got an exciting young rookie pitcher, Jackson Jobe. And then obviously they got Tarek Skubal, the best pitcher in the league probably, or close to it. So I think the Tigers will continue this hot streak. I like AJ Hinch. Obviously, he was an Astro when they cheated, but I think he's still a great manager. He knows the game very well, and I think Detroit will continue their success. Then, rounding off the wild card teams, you got the Baltimore Orioles. They lost Corbin Burns in the offseason, which is a huge loss. But so the rotation is kind of a question mark, but I still think they got the young talent to make the playoffs. I like the Red Sox over them in the AL East, but I still think the Orioles deserve a playoff spot. They got Jackson Holiday. Hopefully the pressure isn't as high this year as it was last year. That probably contributed to his not very good start to his career. But you got Adley Rushman, all sorts of guys littered in the lineup who are very, very good. So I think Baltimore gets a wild card spot. But now, I mean, you look at it, that's leaving off the Yankees, who I mentioned the concerns on my behalf. The Astros, again, if the Astros have too many question marks for me to be confident putting them in a playoff spot. Could they? Probably. Will they? Probably, because they're the Astros and that's what they do. But I'm not going to put them in there. I don't want to be too biased and just say that if the Astros, if Paredes and Christian Walker fill those voids of Bregman and, say, Yuli Gurriel, who they've had in the past, and become big-time bats, sure. If Jeremy Pena learns how to hit again, sure. But I don't think their pitching is as deep as it's been. I do think Yordan Alvarez will be competing for the AL MVP. And obviously Altuve is Altuve. He's consistent, although they're moving him to left field, which is a little bit weird in my opinion. So we will see. And if Cam Smith, the guy who they got in return from Kyle Tucker, if he ends up being the player that he has the potential to be, that could easily replace Kyle Tucker. So it's going to be interesting to see how this works out for him. But like I said, I don't think the Astros are going to make it, at least not on opening day. Not from the opening day perspective. Out of all these teams, I think the AL champion will be the Boston Red Sox. I think they got the pieces they need, like I said. I look at this lineup right here of all the teams, and I think who is going to win it. I think the Boston Red Sox will. And it's going to be an exciting time to see Boston in the playoffs again. But I think the AL champion will be the Boston Red Sox. Moving on to the NL. Let's start in the NL West. This is an easy one. The Dodgers, best roster in baseball by far. Concerns with Mookie Betts' health. I can't remember exactly what it is, but like he's losing a ton of weight and stuff. So that's a little bit concerning, but still, they're the Dodgers. They got so many good players. Shohei Ohtani. They got that pitcher from Japan, I think it was, this offseason. They have the pitcher from Japan from last offseason. I can't remember his name exactly. Their rotation is ridiculous. They got like 3 guys in the bullpen that could start. They got Blake Snell back. Or not back, but they just got Blake Snell. I mean, it's ridiculous. It's stupid. I hate it. I hate the Dodgers, but it is what it is. Biggest MLB market. Maybe not the biggest. New York might be the biggest MLB market, but they seem to have the most money. So unfortunate for baseball fans that the Dodgers are going to run this operation for the next decade, probably, with Shohei Ohtani. So, yay us. Yay the rest of the MLB. Moving on. The NL Central, the Chicago Cubs. They added Kyle Tucker. They got rid of Cody Bellinger, but I think Kyle Tucker will be a good bat for them. I'm trying to think of who else they got. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little biased. My brother's a Cubs fan. I just think the Cubs are going to win this. I'm trying to think, like the Brewers. I don't know about the Brewers. They're kind of just the Brewers. It is what it is with the Brewers. The Brewers could definitely make it, but I think the Cubs will win the NL Central. The NL East, you got the Atlanta Braves there. This is one of the crazier divisions, because I think either the Braves, Phillies, or Mets could all win this division. I think the Braves will. They were very, very injured last year. You get Acuna back. Spencer Strider's coming back. I think they're pretty stacked. They could challenge the Dodgers. They're probably the biggest challenger for the Dodgers. Um, and then let's get to the wild cards. You got the Phillies. Um, Phillies, they got crazy fans, a stacked lineup, Bryce Harper, all those guys. They still got Zach Wheeler, who is a great pitcher. I think the Phillies are still good enough to challenge for the division and will certainly make a wild card spot. Next up, the Mets. They got Juan Soto. They got hot last year. Went on a little bit of a run. Challenged the Dodgers for the NL pennant. I think the Mets will make it again. I think they also could win the division, but again, it's just super tough to pick between those three teams to win it. But yes, the Mets will easily get a wild card spot unless something goes wrong, which it's the Mets, so that could happen. And rounding out the wild card teams, you got the Arizona Diamondbacks. They made the World Series 2 years ago. Had an off year last year, but they got Corbin Burns in the offseason. They still got a great lineup with Corbin Carroll. He's a good player. I think the Diamondbacks will make it again to the playoffs. Probably won't go on the run they did, but it could get interesting. And for my NL champion, of course, I got the Los Angeles Dodgers. But here's the thing. The Dodgers have had a great team for years, and they have not made it to the World Series every year. So I think we could see a situation where like we've seen in the past, where the Dodgers get knocked off early. I definitely could see that. I'm not going to pick it, but I would not be surprised if something like that happened. So between the Boston Red Sox and the Los Angeles Dodgers, I'm picking the Dodgers to win it all. I mean, you got Freddie Freeman, Mookie Betts, Shohei Ohtani, that pitching staff. They're stacked. They won it last year. They're going to probably win it this year. I do think an interesting thing. Will the Dodgers challenge the wins record in a season held by the Mariners, or will the Chicago White Sox challenge the loss record? Very interesting there. Very interesting thing to watch. I'm leaning towards the Dodgers challenging the wins record, but the White Sox could easily challenge the loss record because the White Sox suck. Poor White Sox fans. You might just want to switch to being a Cubs fan. I know that might be a touchy subject, but I'm just saying, guys, I don't know how it gets better right now. The White Sox truly do suck. Moving on to the award winners. In the AL, the MVP, I got Bobby Witt Jr. of the Kansas City Royals. Was very close to Judge last year. Had an argument to win it last year. I think with the Yankees, I think Judge will have a good season, but with the Yankees not making a playoffs, in my predictions, I think Bobby Witt will win it this year. Great player. Hits for power, drives and runs, all those things. I love Bobby Witt. Great player. AL Rookie of the Year, I got Cam Smith of the Houston Astros. Like I said, if he can replace Tucker, that'd be awesome. He's lit it up in spring training. People questioned if he would make the opening day roster. He did. I think he's going to light it up this year. I'm not going to say the Astros won the trade, but I think it could be an interesting trade to kind of review if he does light it up, because now you don't have to pay Tucker and you get similar production. But I will always love Kyle Tucker, King Tuck. He's one of my favorite players in Houston, so sad to see him go. Wishing the best for him in Chicago. But Cam Smith, AL Rookie of the Year. And then to round out the AL awards, the Cy Young, I think Garrett Crochet, who the Boston Red Sox added this offseason, will win the Cy Young in the AL. Great lefty. I think he will contribute to the reason of why the Boston Red Sox will be in the World Series. So I think Garrett Crochet will win the AL Cy Young. Moving on to the NL. The MVP, I think this is obvious. Oh my God, voice crack to the moon. Sorry about that. Shohei Ohtani will win the NL MVP. I think this is pretty obvious. Shohei Ohtani may win the NL MVP for the next decade, probably, which is insane. But I think that might just happen. He's too good. When you pitch and you hit, which I think he's going to pitch this year, when you pitch and you hit, it's actually just a cheat code to winning the MVP because you can't. I mean, it's just insane. It's just insane. Just it sucks too. Why can Ohtani just stayed with the Angels and won one with Trout? That'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Now Trout's probably going to go to the Dodgers. Sick to my stomach if that happens. NL Rookie of the Year, Dylan Cruz. I've used him in MLB The Show for a few years now. I feel like this is a pretty chalk pick, pretty consensus pick, but I think it's what's going to happen as well. Dylan Cruz will win the NL Rookie of the Year. And finally, for the Cy Young, again, pretty obvious. I think Paul Skeens will win it. Nasty stuff. Throws like 100 miles per hour. Great movement. I don't see a reason why he won't win it. I know guys like Blake Snell might have an argument. I just think Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens is going to be the best pitcher in baseball this year. He's just so nasty. If only the Pirates could surround him with some offense, maybe they could push for a playoff spot. I don't know. Maybe. Think about it, Pittsburgh. You got the best pitcher, one of the best pitchers in baseball. So that will do it for my MLB predictions. Enjoy your opening day, whatever fan you are. It's a clean slate. If you're a White Sox fan, who knows? Maybe you guys could make a playoffs today. There's nothing against you. The record is 0-0 for everyone. So thank you guys so much for watching. Like I said, enjoy your opening day. Like, subscribe, comment. Go check out TikTok, YouTube Shorts for the short form content from these videos. It is greatly appreciated, all your guys' support. I love the comments mostly, so just drop a comment. Tell me what's wrong with my predictions. Tell me where your team is going to finish. All those things. It's greatly appreciated. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.